Alright gamers, in this episode we're going to take a look at Starfinder by Paizo. Hey gamers, welcome back to Game Master's Dungeon. I am Brian, your Game Master, and indeed today we are going to be taking a deep look through Starfinder, published by Paizo. If you have your book, grab that, get ready to follow along. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that bell icon so you get instant notification when I upload new videos. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Alright gamers, so here we are, we're looking at our PDF for Starfinder. I bought this from Paizo.com, pretty good deal, they had it for $9.99 US for the PDF version versus like the 50, 60 something dollars for the core rulebook. First thing I want to say, I love the art of this book. I like the cover, it's vibrant, it's really eye appealing. Like I love some of these weapons and this meets fantasy kind of thing. This theme they've got going on. I was kind of like, Pathfinder in space. It's basically kind of what it is. But when I read through the book, I got, there was some pretty cool stuff which we're going to go into. So maybe if you got the book laying around, haven't had a chance to play, maybe get that, kind of follow along. If not, hope you're going to learn some cool stuff in here that you might find interesting. Maybe your game group might be into something like this, but we'll see. So first we're going to start with, obviously it's 532 pages, so it's a pretty good sized PDF. So we're going to go through it relatively quick and touch on some of the highlights here. So obviously the art is amazing, it just pops, it calls to me. I love vibrant art. I buy a lot of my books based on their aesthetics. So core rulebook, then you got your table of contents, okay? You got your overview, character creation, your different races, classes, skills, feats, equipment, tactical rules, starships, magic and spells. Then there's a whole section of game mastering, which, you look at it, it's like almost 40 pages. That's pretty good. And your setting, and then it talks about the Pathfinder Legacy. We'll talk about that at the end. Then it's got your glossary and your character sheet, starship sheet, all that stuff at the end. All right, so let's get into it. Look at some of this. Look at this art. Look at this. Wow. Epic stuff. Getting started, most games like this have a what is a role-playing game, the things you're going to need, some of the lingo you're going to learn. It's like what the players are, what the game master is. And it's kind of cool how like on this right side over here you have this little, all the different chapters. It's kind of cool. What's in the book, basic concepts. It goes into some of the lexicon, the terminology, so like experience points, XP, Game Master, GM, attack rolls, AC, that kind of stuff. Some of the words and acronyms that they're going to be using throughout the book. So if you're not familiar with games like this, you can get yourself situated. Look at this. This is the dwarf with an energy axe and an energy shield fighting a giant raptor man with, what is this? A polearm? Is this like a fire axe? I don't even know, but it in power armor. Look at that. It looks amazing. He's got a cape. He's got his beard. Amazing stuff. Then there's like, so what is this? Example of play, page 10. So for those of you that never played a game like this, it's got like a quick several page of, they're kind of role-playing a little session there. Full page art. Grand, fantastic. It's like the whole, normally you would open the book and you would see like the whole bridge. Got your little mouse man, android, lizard man, the captain, looks fantastic. Character creation steps. This game works a little differently than like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, if you ever played any of those. It uses similar concepts like ability score generation, things like that, but it's got some different stuff to it. Let's kind of take a look at it. So, create a character concept. See, step 1, character concept. If you saw my video on the importance of a character concept, this is why. Because most games like this will tell you, first thing you need to do, develop a concept. What sort of science fantasy hero do you want to play? Right? Great question. think about your character. What do you want to play, right? Then you're going to go into choose your race, choose your theme. Now, the themes are something new. So your themes are kind of, the races. Now, there's different races. There's extra races at the end. Pretty much most races, like from like Pathfinder, you could probably play in this. Like the Pathfinder Legacy at the very end of the book, we're going to talk a little more on that. But that's where you're going to be able to put that Pathfinder stuff through like this washing machine, and you can come out with Starfinder stuff at the end, which is I think is a really cool idea. But so you choose your theme before you choose your class. So are you a priest, a scholar, xenoseeker, themeless? If you choose not to have a theme, you can just kind of pick and choose some stuff. You're a bounty hunter, but then you choose a class. So say I choose a mystic, and my theme is an icon. You could play a mystic, and your theme could be a spacefarer. Remember, two totally different characters, right? We have different stats, a few different abilities. So it helps make everyone kind of unique. Plus, it helps you work toward that concept that you want to play as well. You choose your class, finalize your ability scores after all your race and theme bonuses. Then you're going to apply your class, assign skill ranks, choose your feats, buy the equipment with your 1,000 credits to spend on armor, weapons, and other supplies. GM can obviously give you alternate instructions on how to choose gear. Finishing touches, so alignment, and then this is all calculating your attack bonuses and your different armor classes. Yes, there's 2 armor classes we'll talk about later. Carrying capacity, deity, all that stuff. Speed, initiative, languages. Resolve points are something new to this game. So what resolve points, so at first level your character has a number of resolve points equal to 1 plus the ability score modifier of your class's key ability score. So say your intelligence is your key score for your class, 1 plus your intelligence modifier. Now, these are really important, but we're going to talk about those here in a little bit. Obviously, it says page 22, so that's coming up. And then it's got different ways to generate your ability scores. I do have a video on that as well, a bunch of different ways. So if you don't like the way that you always do it, or you want to find a new way, most of those systems are balanced. I prefer the dice pool system. So when I create the character for this system that we're going to do after the video, that's what I'm going to use. So I'll run you through that then. You can buy your ability scores, and it's got your ability score modifier chart, and then it's got your races and your themes, how it get the bonuses that you gain. So quick reference guide right there. It even has your key ability scores for your classes here. So Technomancer is intelligence. Operative is dexterity. They got the quick pick system, all this other stuff. Then it goes into what each ability score does. So where is it? Strength, dexterity, and then it kind of tells you what each ability modifies and how it's used in the game. Leveling, so leveling up and ability score. So this is a little different. So normally in the Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, similar games, it's every 4 levels you get ability score increases, but this is every 5. But each time you reach one of these thresholds, choose 4 of your ability scores to increase. If the ability score is 17 or higher, it increases by +1. If it's 16 or lower, it permanently increases by 2. Now I'm assuming, because I've looked through this book, and there's not a lot of magic items and stuff like that. So this is kind of how you're going to improve your ability scores, through leveling up versus through finding bonuses on magical items like you would in Pathfinder, which is really cool. So say first level maybe you didn't roll so well on a couple. Well, when you get to level 5, they each get +2, which is a whole nother +1 to your modifier. Okay, then it talks about health and resolve. So this game works a little differently too, because normally you just have hit points, HP, we like to use for short. And that's, like I said, measures how robust and healthy you are. Stamina points, by contrast, measure your readiness and energy, and they replenish more quickly. So you have your hit points, and you have your stamina points. So when you take damage and do things, it drains your stamina points first. Then when you start taking hit point damage, you're in some real trouble. And then your resolve points right here. So as a hero in Starfinder, you have resolve. an intrinsic reservoir of grit and luck tied to your talents and often enhanced by your class. Your pool of resolve points allows you to carry on even when everything else seems lost. So it talks about calculating them, what they're for. A lot of what they're used for is if you go into like the dying state, you lose resolve points. If you're dying and you have no resolve points, you're dead. But this section here talks about all of that. Then it goes into the usual alignments. So the 9 alignments: lawful, good, neutral good, chaotic good, all that stuff that you've seen in Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons. And then it gives a little synopsis of what it means. Then you've got your little grid, good, the good, neutral, evil, lawful, neutral, chaotic, Alignment is pretty important because it's like a measure of morality, things that you're willing to do and not do. Then it talks about leveling up. You got your experience point chart right here. So even this is a little higher. So like second level is like 1,300 experience. Most games like D&D and things like that, normally like second level is like 1,000 or something like that. And then your ability score increases, your feats, theme bonuses. So as you level up your theme, will give you additional bonuses. And then get more skill ranks, things like that. There's a retraining option. In general, decisions made about your character are permanent, but you can go back and change his ability score, or you can't go back and change ability scores, feats, and skills, and so on. For characters who desperately want to change their past and replace abilities, there's a technological solution. The mnemonic editor, a device by which old knowledge and abilities can be edited. So basically, they put a thing in here so you can go back and rebuild or change your character with GM permission, of course. And make some changes. So then this section here talks about your themes. So it gives you a little synopsis right here, but then it goes into detail about each one next pages. Themeless characters. If you decide that none of these themes fit your particular concept, see, the concept is coming up again. You can choose not to have a theme, then you gain the following benefits right here. Okay? So you've got the ace pilot, you got the bounty hunter, little rat man. Who's this? Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know. That's kind of hot. Is that weird? Is that weird? Aliens? I don't know. This dude is just a tank. Look at that. It's a giant lizard man in power armor with a Gatling gun, with a backpack. That is amazing. Outlaw. What? This dude's got 4 arms. Fantastic. Just think of all the blasters, all the DACA that you could throw out. I'd have to go look at the race section, but I think that's coming up here. The Scholar. Ooh, it's loading slow. Spacefarer. Very, very Han Solo with mechanical parts. That's kind of cool, too, because it allows you, like, if you lose an arm, somebody hits you with a monomolecular blade and cuts your arm off, well, it's not game over. It's mechanical arm time. Xenoseeker. Yeah, this dude is just angry. Look at this guy. Fantastic. Going into races now. So it's got your 7 races right here. It gives you a little synopsis. Then it's going to go into the details about each one. And it's got like a little chart: average height, weight, age of maturity, maximum age, just like you would see in like other D20 based games. Talk about languages. There's tons of languages because you got all these new races. Plus, they also have all the old races like Elven, Dwarven, Gnome, Orc, Terran, Auran, Abyssal, like demons and all that other kind of stuff. So you got androids, complex technological creations crafted to resemble humans. That's legit. You ever want to play a android in a game? Boom, Starfinder. That's for you. Humans, of course, you got to have the old human. I'm just like thinking about like my mind is just running right now about all the different styles of games you could play with this. You want to play like a Mass Effect type setting? You could probably do that. Because like the weapon, like we'll get into the equipment. I've kind of perused through the equipment and weapons and armor, and man, it is extensive. Oh, there it is. There's the Lashuntas, I'm assuming. If I'm enunciating that wrong, put it down in the comments below and like spell it out for me for in layman's terms so I can make sure I don't mess it up. Sharon's. Ooh. I guess that's cool. Crazy bug people. The Vesk. There we go. It reminds me of that guy from Star Wars. What is it? Bosk? Or whatever his name is. That bounty hunter. Oh, and he's... What? He's got a hammer? They still have hammers in space. Fantastic. And little rat people. What is it? Yuski? Yusoki? Little rat people. Master Splinter. Then you got this guy with the multi-arms. Fantastic. Look at that. Look at all this stuff he's got. Alright. See the art? I love the art. The art style that they're doing to this. It's so vibrant. It's so cool. Then you got your 7 classes. Technomancer really intrigues me. I've looked at the Technomancer stuff and it's pretty cool. Then you have like I think it's like the mechanic. You build like a little drone. Then, this section here is just kind of talking about how to read the class sections. So then like you have like base hit points. And then you get like your stamina points is what improves over the course of leveling up. So you get more stamina points. And then your hit points are, pretty much a set amount. Because even feats like toughness give you stamina points instead of hit points. So the envoy, you get expertise, skill expertise, expertise talent, true expertise, things like that. Looks like they've got like a rogue type attack bonus, so like a 0.75. And you got all these the envoy improvisations. It's kind of a cool mechanic. Let's see. More stuff. The classes are very well developed and in-depth. There's a lot of options for customization. So you're not just stuck, okay, everybody at the same level is getting the same thing. Like, look at all these abilities that you get. And then it kind of shows you at the end of each class, like, some examples of class with theme and how it kind of changes your play style. So this guy's an ambassador. He's an envoy, but a Xenoseeker theme. You have a military officer. He took ace pilot. So they take different feats, different skills. You've got the negotiator, took the icon. The scoundrel took the outlaw theme. Then you got the mechanic. See, you get your little drone. Pretty cool. This rat just looks so mean. I play a little rat person. He's very Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. In my personal opinion. Because he's got like the bomb right there strapped to his chest and his little glowing grenades. Artificial intelligence. This is like your drone that you get. Mechanic trick, overload, miracle worker, coordinated assault. If you have a drone, whenever both you and your drone make attacks against the same target, you receive a +1 circumstance bonus to your attack rolls. That's pretty cool. Control net, Tech Master at level 20. Ghost in the Machine, little Deus Ex Machina. I think that means like Ghost from the Machine, but close enough, right? Then you have all these different choices that you make at certain levels. Then it's got your whole like building your drone section. Because you give it all a bunch of stats. Basically have your own little character sheet for it. You can make a combat drone, a hover drone, a stealth drone, just some like examples. Like you pick the chassis and then you can you build, you kind of customize it to your... So 2 mechanics in the same group won't have the same drone. That's really cool. See, it even has like the drone statistics here. Expert AI, then you get feats, drone mods, so armor has a camera on it. Plus, then your mechanic is the only one that really knows how it was built and how to fix it and maintain it, which is pretty cool. And then, so you've got, once again, you've got your combat technician, your mercenary theme, enhanced commando, took the bounty hunter theme. Saboteur took the outlaw theme. Starship engineer took Starfarer or Spacefarer. That looks pretty cool. Then there's your mystic, So like your healer type class, you know, the hero or sorry, the clerics in space, because they do get access to some healing spells plus some other stuff like healing touch. See, enlightenment. You know, they have their deity is a big choice that they make. Healer, your connection channels the life force of all things as well as its counterpart death. You're an expert healer, but not necessarily a selfless one. You might be a traveling doctor or a haunted medium. Associated deities. We'll talk about deities later. There's some really cool deities they put in there. I just want to point out. Get the Mind Breaker, the Overlord. What? Yeah. The Star Shaman, the Xeno Druid is kind of cool. You know, because I like druids in D&D and Pathfinder. So you can be like a space druid. So you got the Commander Chaplain, took the Mercenary, the Empath, took the Priest theme. See, your Xeno Druid, look at this guy. That is all green with like, I don't know, alien weapons and a gnarled wooden staff. That's fantastic. The art is just amazing. Little rat man with his pistol and his book and his goggles with his magical energy, his Star Shaman. You got the Operative. Okay, this is like your rogue type class. Uncanny agility, you get triple attack, quad attack. When making a full attack, using only melee weapons with the operative's special property or small arms, you can make up to 4 extra attacks instead of 2. What? Because so this game scales a lot differently, so I'll just kind of talk about it as we're kind of scrolling down here. So weapons, like it's, you know, even at, like in D&D, like at level 20, like a longbow still does 1d10 damage, right? Well, this you can get weapons that do like 14d12 damage, like these heavy like laser cannons and plasma weapons and things like that. So the damage you're able to deal at higher level is based on the weapons that you use, and each weapon kind of has like a level of a weapon, which is kind of like a guideline. So like a level 2 character shouldn't be using like a level 12 weapon, just because it's probably going to do like 40 damage a hit, you know, which is kind of cool. Kind of how they help, you know, determine what kind of equipment characters should be using. Obviously, it's a guideline, but if GMs decide to allow characters to use higher level stuff, that just means either the encounters are going to be too easy, or they're going to make the encounters too difficult, and the characters will get one shot if they get hit. So I would kind of stick definitely to that, the level. But we'll talk more about that later. You have the Solarian. See, when I see Solarian, all I can think about is Mass Effect. When the one guy, you know, he is the very model of a scientist, Solarian. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't know why. Don't judge me, though. If you guys thought the same thing, put it in the comments below. If anybody's played Mass Effect. Flashing Strikes, Zenith Revelations, Stellar Paragon. You're the spiritual kin of the stars themselves. As a move action, you can raise or lower light levels within 30 feet of yourself by 1 step. When you enter a stellar mode, you gain 2 attunement. Yeah, so some classes have their own mechanics, like their own points. Like monks had key pull, and you know the sorcerers had like their spell points and stuff like that. Then you have like all of these. At 6th level, choose the. So you must be 6th level to choose these star revelations, and a bunch of them, right? So it gives you a lot of options for character customization, which I do enjoy. I love, you know, I've got 3 of the same class in the same party, but everybody's different. Everybody can function as a different role, or you know, fills a gap that the party was missing. So you can be like the champion, the cosmic mercenary. I don't even know, this crazy bug lady right here with the luminous explorer. Then you've got the outcast. He's an outlaw. I mean, he's got, oh my god. I can't believe this is a playable race. This sounds like something you should kill. But who am I to judge, right? They're aliens. I don't know. They could be nice people. This guy just looks like a boss. I love this weapon. I'm assuming this is an axe, because of, you know, it's supposed to look like an axe blade. I don't know. This is the soldier, right? Kind of brings me back to like previous Star Wars role playing game editions where you had the soldier, but then you had all these different paths of like right here fighting style, arcane assailant. You get the rune of the Eldritch Knight, secret of the Magi. An enhanced tank. So you're not just like some guy with heavy armored guns, right? You have a lot of different options as a soldier, which just allows that depth of character creation. So I think this is like any kind of science fiction, fantasy combination of character that you can come up with. I think this game is going to let you, like, this guy has a lightsaber. Like, look at this, right? This guy looks like something straight out of Mass Effect. So anything you can kind of come up with, I think this game is going to let you do that. A rat guy with a sniper rifle. This looks legit right here. The spell soldier. See, he's a soldier with a priest theme. See? The technomancer. This really interests me. I've read through this a couple of times. Technology and magic together. It just sounds amazing. Let's see. So yeah, you get spells. Now this game, spells only go up to 6th level. There's not 9th level spells like previous games like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and all that stuff. Because normally, the spellcasters, some of them, like wizards and stuff, could get up to 9th level spells. There's only 6th level spells. But those 6th level spells are pretty powerful. But also you've got like some of those spells that you would get like Fireball, so many d6 damage. Well, when I've got my plasma cannon that does 14d12 damage or whatever it is, that I can just fire every single turn, it kind of makes some of those spells obsolete. Because I was talking to my game group about once we finish this D&D campaign I'm running the Curse of Strahd. Eventually it'll be done. We're about a third of the way through it. What are they going to want to do? And I was like, well, because I bought this and I showed it to them, and everybody just instantly got super excited, and they were just chomping at the bit. They are ready to play. But I'm like, well, we got to finish the D&D thing first. But then I'll go back to the D&D characters. So you got archetypes, gaining an archetype, class features, other considerations. This whole section here. Alter or replace mystic class features. Replace technomancer class features. Let's see, here we go. Phoretic Adept, Starfinder Forerunner. So it's kind of like how Pathfinder had those archetypes for different classes. Like, what is it? There was one, the Witch Hunter or whatever that I played once. Uses like a base class, but then you think it uses the Gunner. Yeah, I think it uses the Gunner class. Or you uses another class, but gains some of the benefits of the Gunner. So they have these kind of hybrid type classes that give you different abilities. Eventually, other books that are going to come out are going to have more of that. So if you guys end up liking this, just be on the lookout for those. Because this game is relatively new. I think it came out in August of 2017, September or something like that. So it's relatively new. So they only have a few books out right now. Now we're into skills. So if you guys have ever played games like this before, the skills section is pretty standard, taking 10 and taking 20. Knowledge recall, like identifying creatures. Now, a lot of the skills from like Pathfinder, they don't transfer over, or some of them do, some of them don't. Like nature is no longer nature. It would be like life science, Climbing is now just athletics. Stuff like that. So it talks about all of it in the back in the Pathfinder Legacy section. Skills to Starship Combat. Starship Combat is one of the things that's a pretty important part of this game, which is going to be down later. We'll talk a little bit about. So if you've ever wanted to play a game where you get a starship and you're flying around and dogfighting, this might be a game for you. So we're just going to skip through the skills here. Talks about bluff, some of the uses of it, computers, because some skills can only be used trained only. Some skills can be used even if they're not trained, like athletics and not acrobatics, but athletics. Like culture is trained only, but then diplomacy, you don't have to be trained. Disguise as well. Obviously, if you're trained, you gain bonuses. See, this is totally Rocket Raccoon right here. If anybody disagrees with that, we need to have a conversation. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, though. I think it's great. Mysticism, right? With trained only, of course. Perception. See, something sparking. Ratman, get it. I'm not saying the Ratman is like, the engineer. He could be the pilot. Who knows? See, this looks cool. Like stealth mission. Following tracks, survival. Riding creatures, because you're going to go to exotic planets and exotic locales and see exotic animals. You're going to be able to ride those creatures. All right, into feats. See, I just love the artwork. I don't know why it's loading so slow here, but obviously if you've played these before, you're going to have prerequisites, so things you have to have before you can take certain feats. It might be a feat. It might be a certain level of skill, things like that. So you've got it's like a list. A lot of them are coming through from the old Pathfinder, or I shouldn't say old, Pathfinder's still going, but from Pathfinder, you get the Far Shot, Die Hard, let's see, improved critical, improved initiative, improved unarmed strike. Wow. I don't know why you would do that when you can use a lightsaber. But who knows? Maybe, you could be like a space monk. That would be kind of cool. So yeah, so then it goes into detail on all of them. See, Die Hard. When you're dying, you can spend the required resolve points to stabilize and 1 resolve point to stay in the fight in the same round, regaining 1 hit point. Normally, you can only do it in separate rounds, but you can do it in both. You can dive for cover. Drag down. Whenever opponent successfully uses the trip combat maneuver against you, you can attempt to trip an adjacent opponent as a reaction. There's Fleet, Fusillade, Great Cleave, Great Fortitude. See a lot of those similar ones if anyone's played Pathfinder. But then there's going to be a lot of new ones as well. See, look at this guy just taking blaster shots for his lady here with the weird antenna. Mobility, Mystic Strike, Nimble Moves, Pull the Pin. When you make a successful disarm combat maneuver against a foe that has grenades, rather than disarming the foe, you can activate one of the grenades. Fantastic, see? See, look at this. Totally Mass Effect. I've looked at it in the back. They have like a section of sources that they took influence from, and I think that's on the list. Like Warhammer 40,000 is on the list. A bunch of the great sci-fi games, movies, books that maybe some of you have read or enjoyed. So there might be some stuff in here like directly taken, or you can feel that it's directly taken. So currency, they don't use the whole gold, silver, platinum, all that stuff. They credit sticks, so you use credits, like most games. And then so let's get into some of the. So you got ammunition, of course. So you've got cartridges, charges, missiles for your missile launcher. Yeah, you can pack around a missile launcher. Okay. Targeting armor class, because you've got the 2 different types of armor class. So you have energy armor class, or EAC. You also have kinetic armor class, which is KAC. So if a weapon deals like nothing but energy, like energy, cold, fire, whatever, so that targets your energy armor class, which is separate from your kinetic, would be like a blunt weapon or a sword or something, or a solid slug weapon, which would target kinetic armor class. If there's a weapon that would affect both, you basically just roll against the kinetic armor class, which is kind of cool. Because there's like some spells and different abilities that give you bonuses to one or the other, or to both. Yeah, see, it goes into detail right here. Energy damage, acid, cold, electricity, fire, and sonic. Kinetic damage is the usual bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Weapon categories, basic melee, because you've got basic melee and advanced melee. Small arms, long arms, and heavy weapons. Sniper weapons, yeah, you can. You always used to play that ranger that had that longbow. Well, now you could be this, android with a sniper rifle. You're like 400 feet away from the fight and still doing your business. So, one thing I did, what we're going to see here in a second, like when you go through this, there's only a couple of pages of like pictures of what some of this stuff looks like, and I'm like, okay. Like, I'm looking at, like, what is a Nova Battle Glove? Look at this. 3d10 bashing damage. It's powered, right? Has a capacity of 20, uses 1 charge each time it's used. I mean, look right here. A Molecular Rift Dueling Sword is 331,200 credits. Requires about level 18. It does 10d6 slashing damage. Like, that's better than some spells back in the old, back in Pathfinder. Right? I'll tell you right now. Hold on. Where is it? The Buzzblade? No, the Ripper. The Ripper Dueling Sword. There's a picture of a guy here a little bit later with one, and it's a chain sword. Anyone that's familiar with Warhammer 40,000, it's a chain sword. You're going to see a guy that looks like a Blood Angel with a chain sword. It's amazing. So then you got 2 hands, basically your staves and your spears. Advanced melee, so you have flame, plasma, shock, sonic weapons. You have plasma weapons. Plasma sword, right? It's like, what does that remind me of? Not Star Ocean, but I don't know why I'm drawing blank right now. But my friend and I were just talking about it yesterday. I'm going to come to it later. I'll throw it in there if I remember it. But yeah, so the advanced melee continued. So you have assault hammers, the basic long sword, right? D8. But then you get down here to some of these weapons. Like, look at this. A gravity well hammer. I'm assuming this is the weapon that creates a gravity well when you swing it. 15d6 damage. Like, what? At level 19? What? Even if you roll all 1s, that's 15 damage. You roll all 6s, that's 90 damage. Just in the same, plus your strength modifier. But look at this. The Dimensional Slice Longsword is 14d8 slashing. 14d8. Like, if you wanna play late game and if you want to roll a lot of dice, this looks like a game for you. Plus, then when you crit with some of these weapons, they have additional effects. Like a Grind Blade. When you crit with it, it does 2d8 bleed damage every turn to the target. Or right here, Ultra Serrated Longsword. It does 8d10 slashing base. You crit, it does 6d6 bleed damage. Like, it's potentially 36 points of bleed damage. I don't even think anything has that much blood in it. But it's fantastic. Right? You have cryo weapons. You have flame weapons. The plasma. Then you got small arms, so you get the cryo, flame, laser, plasma, projectile, shock, sonic. You have a needler pistol. See, and then you see, like, here's what some of this stuff looks like. You want a flamethrower? You can have a flamethrower. Ifrit class flamethrower. You blow fire everywhere. You've got like your basic sniper rifle, right? Pretty cool. But then you get down like the heavy reaction cannon. It does 3d10 piercing damage. Or like the light machine gun. Look at that thing. Mini chain gun. 2-handed, of course. Look at this thing. Elite Auto Beam Artillery. It burns critically for 2d10. It does 68. I'm assuming fire damage. It's a laser weapon. Here you go. You want your artillery laser? This reminds me kind of like the Spartan laser from Halo, or like a las cannon from 40K. Some of the weapons look really cool. Now, I did kind of look ahead. There is, I think it's July of this year, 2018. They're going to be coming out with an Arsenal book. It's going to have all the weapons and a bunch of new stuff in there. So if you're excited, be ready for that when it comes out, because it's going to have a lot of new stuff. Plus, I'm assuming it's going to have more illustrations. Right? So you had those 2 pages there. Then you've got all these different grenades. Right? Some of these grenades do a bunch of different effects. They blind, explode, tangle, deafen, burn. Cryo grenades. You stagger. This deafens for so many minutes. Look at this grenade. Shock grenade 5. Level 20. 110,000 credits just for one grenade. There's 9d12. Electric damage. Yeah. Everybody just throws grenades all in one turn. Okay, see you, nerd. They do have bows, but bows are described pretty cool. So bows are still really good because you've got, what is it? Or you can make grenade arrows. You know. Solarian weapon crystals. Damage, there's bonus damage. Depends on how you have it, you know, in what weapon or whatever. And then it's got all the different rules. So like when entangle, explode, injection, the non-lethal damage, critical hit effects. You know, so bleed, burn, corrode, deafen, injection plus DC plus 2. If the weapon is used to deliver a poison or drug of some kind, the save DC of that poison is increased by 2 when delivering with a critical hit. Like a needler pistol or something like that. Wounding weapons. So weapons that cause like wounds. Right? You roll D20. Brain. Save or be stunned for a round. Ooh. Talks about the different grenades, operative weapons, laser weapons. Like machine gun, heavy, like medium. So yeah, this section just goes into like all the different details. Like it's right. Okay, here we go. See, look. So here's that fang blade. Okay, if that is not like a basic chain sword, I don't know what is. Oh, right here, the Red Star Plasma Doshko does a D10 energy and fire damage. It looks pretty cool. But see, this is like it looks like a chainsaw with a big long blade with a handle in it. Then you've got what looks like a lightsaber. It's a Yellow Star Plasma Sword. Does 5d8 damage. Then you've got like these things that look like power swords. This thing right here, this is a grind blade. Does 4d10 damage. Like this right here, the Molecular Rift Dueling Sword that does 10d6 damage per hit. Ridiculous. Let me see. Does it have the picture? Is this where the picture of the guy with the chainsword is? I'm not quite sure. Weapon fuse descriptions. Talks about different weapon fuse prices. Flaming fusion, a holy fusion, so you can infuse weapons with different effects, which is pretty cool. Like holy. Does see, it ignores energy resistance of evil dragons, evil outsiders, and evil undead. Cannot be added to weapons that have the unholy fusion, right? Obviously. Returning weapon. A returning weapon flies through the air back to you after, you know, the old classic, the hammer. Thor's hammer kind of thing. Vorpal. Can tear between the molecules of a creature. The weapon gains a severe wound critical hit effect. If the weapon already has a critical hit effect and you score a critical hit, you can apply either the wound's normal critical hit effect or the severe critical effect wound. Or the severe wound effect. Ugh. Only a weapon that deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage can have this fusion. That's a melee weapon. Then it goes into armor. The whole section about donning armor, donning hastily, armor size. Then you've got like, okay, so you look down here, like level 20, you get the Hard Light Series Specialist Armor. Gives you plus 22 to your kinetic and your energy AC. So that's, you know, it's going to be, the high level stuff is going to be high power, big numbers. If you like big numbers, look at this. This is heavy armor. Oh, dear God. The Vesk Monolith 3. 20 plus 26 to energy, plus 27 to kinetic. Take a missile to the face. Yeah. And radiation is a big thing. Obviously, there's a lot of radiation in space from stars, reactors, all this kind of stuff. So radiation is a big threat in this game. There's even like, so here's like some basics of some of the armor, what it looks like. This is very Doom right here, kind of. Reminds me anyway. Yeah. Jarl Slayer. Big, heavy, just beefy armor. Pretty cool. Powered armor descriptions, right? Let's see. Powered armor. So you've got the battle harness, the flight frame, the Jarl Slayer, spider harness. So yeah, there's powered armor that requires power to operate and power to use. Yeah. Then it's got all these different armor upgrades. Like you put a jetpack on your armor, a black force field, a haste circuit, green force field, a titan shield. Then it kind of goes, the next section here kind of goes into what all that means. Like, let's look at what a titan shield. Titan shield. This emitter generates a wide unidirectional energy shield that protects against incoming attacks. You can activate or deactivate the shield as a move action. When you activate it, choose one edge of your space. The shield extends along 3 continuous edges in a straight line, centered on the chosen edge. The shield provides cover against attacks coming from the far side of the shield, but not against attacks originating from the side you're on. If you move, you can reposition the shield. That's kind of cool. You basically set it, just boop. You know, you can kind of choose how the shield is oriented. And then you've got augmentation. So obviously you've got like cybernetic arms, cardiac accelerator, then different cybernetics, dark vision capacitor, so you can give yourself dark vision, dermal plating, gives you damage reduction, a hideaway limb. Let's see. This compartment is hidden inside one of your. Oh yeah, so you have like a say arm, but then it's got inside. It's got like a little compartment. You can put like keys or like a grenade or something in there. You know, if you're gonna be captured, hide. You know, some kind of lock picking tool or whatever inside your arm. Now, if the villain was smart, they would take your cybernetic arm from you. Then it goes into a whole section about computers, because obviously this is science fantasy. So you're going to have computers on your ship, computers everywhere. This is a whole section dedicated to computers. Security modules, different countermeasures like alarm, fake shells, feedback, firewalls, wipe. I mean, the system wipes if you don't do things right. And then here we've got technological items, so a detonator, fire extinguisher, different locks and medical gear, Batman grappling hook there, a laser microphone, and different types of locks, regeneration table, restraints, so, you know, manacles and bindings and all that stuff, a signal jammer, x-ray visor. Then you've got, it does have a list of some magic items. It's not super extensive, but there is some, you know, obviously, you know, Starfinder is based, you know, several years long, maybe millennia, I think is what they kind of say, from the Pathfinder. So some of that stuff might have survived and made it off-world or whatever. So you got, you know, gloves of storing, you've got the amulet of camouflage, the shadow orb, staff of mystical healing, the spell gem. Then you get different serums like potions and things like that. Serum of healing, so which is like your potion of healing. Hybrid items. Hybrid equipment makes use of both technology and magic. That's really cool. Like this is like the mask of Doctor Doom right here. Yeah, that's half of Doctor Doom's mask, I'm pretty sure. That's because I love Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is a fantastic Marvel villain. Then you've got vehicles. Now, obviously, we're in the future, right? So you're going to have not only spaceships, but you've got like hover cars and jet bikes and all this other stuff. You've got the Goblin Junk Cycle, torpedo mini sub, an urban cruiser, a police cruiser. See, like your little hover bikes. Then like your other purchases, backpacks and your basic adventuring type gear. Then you got drugs. The numerous pharmaceuticals and similar substances can be referred to as drugs. This entry refers specifically to narcotics that are not typically used for medicinal purposes. Drugs. Obviously, if you want to run, you know, a more clean game, then obviously your GM would exclude that, but they're in there for those that want to run like a very surreal, very gritty future. And you got your different field rations and food, recharging stations for your batteries and power cells. There's a grav train, a robo-taxi, obviously your starship. There's a whole chapter on starships. Like, look at these pictures. Look at this thing. They're shooting like this dragon kind of thing. Tactical rules. So this is your section about combat. So it talks about initiative, the order of combat, the combat round, surprise round, who can I attack, goes into detail about your different armor classes, how you deal damage, modifying of damage, stamina points and hit points, and saving throws. Talks about ability checks. See, this is just great. He's just charging the line. Look at all these people. He's just like, I don't care. I'm going in, man. Rerolls and rolling twice, because sometimes you'll get things like to reroll multiple times, and talks about how to handle that. Then it's got your little section about the different kinds of actions that you can take in combat. Because you get a standard action, a move action, and a swift action per combat, or per combat round. It gives you a list of things that you can do, or like a full round action, like running or coup de grace. Other actions would be like drop an item, combat, banter, that kind of stuff. Talks about throwing weapons if you miss, like a grenade, which is pretty cool because then, like, if you're aiming here, you miss, you roll like a d8, and it shows you how it deviates. This is a lot like what a lot of like miniature skirmish games, like War Machine, I think, and stuff do. If you miss, then you have this little table that you roll, and it shows you where it deviates, and you can potentially hit other people, friend or foe. So you always got to be careful with those grenades, especially those ones that do like 10 dice of damage. Goes into detail of all the different move actions, the standard actions, the swift actions, like changing grips on your weapon. It's a swift action because it might be important. Maybe you need to go for a grenade or something. Talks about different reactions, so attacks of opportunity are here. Talks about, here's the attack of opportunity thing. So number 1 here can safely approach without provoking attacks, but if number 3 here attempts to move away without taking a guarded step, I'm just going to move away from him. This monster is going to get an opportunity attack, so it gets a free basic attack against him. Talks about injury and death. Stamina points, when they're depleted to 0, you take hit point damage. When you take hit point damage to 0, you go into the dying state. If you ever have 0 stamina, 0 hit points, and 0 resolve points, you are dead. Talks about like monster and NPC death. Most of the time they don't have resolve points, so if you just reduce them to 0 hit points, they're dead. Unless you do the last few points of damage with non-lethal damage, like you incapacitate them. This section here goes about how you recover hit points and stamina points. Talks about temporary hit points, non-lethal damage right here. Then obviously ability damage comes to this game. So the reduction of stats. Talks about negative levels from a lot of undead used to give you like negative levels. You don't like go from like level 5 to level 4. You just stay level 5, but then you get all these penalties to your rolls. Combat modifiers, right? Concealment, cover. Cover is going to be a big thing because if there's lots of guns, it is very futuristic. Everybody's hiding behind a wall, behind some kind of cover. So hopefully your GM will be generous and not make all your gunfights just standing out in the middle of a desert with nothing to hide behind, because that would suck. So if you're planning on GM this, just think about that. Think sci-fi. Watch some sci-fi movies. There's always cover. Chest high walls everywhere. Don't do the chest high walls everywhere. Like, what is that? See, I'm losing my mind. I must be getting old. The video game. I'm going to think on it. Some of you may already know what I'm talking about. So, it does talk about like burrowing, climbing, flying, because obviously you can put jetpacks and stuff on your armor like this dude. You can fly around. This section here is about your senses, so precise senses, the 4 states of awareness: unaware, aware of presence, aware of location, and observing. This is very pitch black kind of scene right here. Turn the light on, all these monsters are right there. Talks about dealing with unseen creatures. Then it talks about the different kinds of special abilities, so extraordinary abilities, supernatural abilities, spell-like abilities that either classes or races will give you. Blind sight, dark vision, all the stuff from Pathfinder is coming, and the different energy resistances, invisibility, telepathy, spell resistance, that kind of stuff. Bonuses and penalties, it talks about different bonuses, because when you gain bonuses to certain stats, it's either like an armor bonus or a circumstance bonus or a situational bonus or a luck bonus. You can only have, if you get multiple bonuses of the same type, you only get the highest bonus. So like if I have 2 luck bonuses, one's a +1, one's a +2, I only get the +2. I don't add it to make +3. Defining effects, so this, like your different shapes right? So an effect does a cone, or it does a blast, or it does a line. Shows you what those looks like if you're using a grid, a battle map. Which I suggest. Honestly, I suggest Roll20. I'm going to be using Roll20 to put this all together because it's just a great tool. Stay tuned soon. I'm going to do a video where I talk about Roll20, and maybe I'll start putting some stuff together so you can kind of see how I do it. If none of you have ever used Roll20 before, I think you guys might like it. All right, conditions. Asleep, bleeding, broken. This section talks about that. Deafened, entangled. Yeah, this book is huge. Vehicle tactical rules. So like for vehicle combat, right? You're on your bike, you're on your whatever. Vehicle chases, vehicle combat. We haven't even got the, see like right here, the bad guys in the Mad Max vehicle are chasing the cop car and you're firing out the top. It's got all the rules for that. So if you've ever wanted to play a game where you could do that, this is probably going to be a game for you. I think the art's done really well in a lot of these. Very colorful, very easy to see, easy to understand. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff right here we're just kind of breezing through. Here's another example of a simple vehicle chase. So it'll do this section, and you kind of read through that to get an idea. All right, now you're into your starships. This section is pretty lengthy as well. So obviously, it's about space travel. This tells you the rules on how to build your spaceship and the time it takes to travel, either through the drift, which is like the warp speed or whatever, hyperspace, then like your regular just thrusting around, how long it takes to do things. This whole section about building starships, I would definitely read through this as a player and a GM, because your players are going to want a starship and you're going to want to give them one, unless you want to just have them stuck on the same planet for the whole campaign. But the whole purpose really of a science fiction is to kind of go out in the vastness of space and explore. At least I think so. There's nothing wrong with staying on a planet for, several levels and doing stuff, but... And then you've got like your basic framework of your starships, and then like your dreadnought class, your huge colossal ship, and then you get your add-ons. You get basically the game gives you like points to spend on upgrades, so upgrading weapons and shields and navigation and all that other stuff. Also, armor for your ship. Crew quarters, obviously, if your ship's got to have 400 people on it to run it, you got to have crew quarters. Your drift engines, so your warp engines. Hangar bay, lifeboats, medical bay. See, it goes into all this detail of all the stuff that you're going to need on, different sizes of ships, which I think is fantastic. Because some other games have sections about starships, and it's kind of like, well, kind of simple. But this is like super in depth. This is amazing stuff. The different types of shields, like, how much shield points, how fast they regenerate, the energy cost, because your ship's going to have like an energy, like based on its, and its engines and its power core. Like certain things will take more power. You run out of power, you're kind of dead in space. You don't want that. Talks about weapon and weapon arcs, tractor beams. This has got everything you've ever wanted about starships. Even like an example, look at this thing. This is a Thomtech Omenbringer. Sails through the void like the corpse of some vast whale. See? Super cool, super imaginative. Like this, look at this. The Blackwind Sepulchre. Death's Head Necroglider. So like undead ships. It's like a mummy or something. Tiny fighters made to resemble bone sarcophagi. Necrogliders are each just large enough for one undead pilot. These notorious pilots jack their brains directly into the ship's sensors and controls, allowing them to recline in eerie repose as they direct the ships by thought alone. Wow, that's cool. Example, starship styles. Maybe. Pack World ship style. See, very humanish, very bulky, armored. See, very fighter type, fighter jet. This is the Ringworld's Wanderer. See the whole, like, if you like starships, man, this is going to be the section for you. Plus, it just gives you so much freedom to kind of just build whatever. The Vindicast Tyrant. Feared across multiple systems, the Tyrant lives up to his name. Huge weapon batteries tear through even the most formidable capital ships, while its hangars unleash squadrons of maulers to mop up foes too insignificant to be worth the Tyrant's direct attention. Huge ships. Yeah, there's a mauler right there. Drop ships. Carrying troops into battle. Then there's the whole section on starship combat. Yeah, it's gonna be like your stunts, like your barrel roll, slide, flyby. Attacking, the different range and arcs, gunnery check, the damage you deal, critical damage, crew damage, shields, critical damage conditions like glitching, malfunctioning. So all kinds of stuff. This is like super in-depth. This is something you're going to need to read several times just so you make sure that you understand it. But I think with so much depth to it, it allows for so much customization, and just really, it's going to enhance your overall experience of starship combat. Then there's an example of starship combat. The insect druid people are being attacked by our party. Our crazy bug guy and the bug lady. Then there's like the section for magic, right? Because there's like the technomancer and the mystic. They do have their spells. Here she is, right? Casting her spells. So you're going to have, what is it, 2 spell tables, I believe. You're going to have the mystic and the technomancer spell list, and then a lot of the same schools, so like divination, enchantment, evocation, illusion. A lot of those all came back. Necromancy, transmutation. Most of the rules are pretty similar to Pathfinder, so if you've played and done spell casting there, you're going to be right at home here. Yeah, see, it's got your Mystic spell list up to level 6, and the Technomancer spell list up to level 6. Disintegrate. Ray reduces one creature or object to dust. It's not like roll 10 dice of damage. No, turn you to dust. Let's maybe, as we're scrolling through here, obviously we're just going to skip most of this section here, because this is obviously just, talking about the different spells. We're not going to go through all of them, but there are some new ones. So like detect radiation. So if you go into a ship that's damaged or whatever, your guy can cast detect radiation. So if there's radiation hazards or leaks or whatever, you can find that. All right, we're into the D's. Oh, did they pass it? Oh, please don't tell me this is going to divide it into 2 different sections. Oh, there, the DI. One creature object up to 10-foot cube of non-living matter, instantaneous. Fortitude, and then spell resist. Cast a spell, a thin green. Oh my god. Ray springs from your pointing finger. You must make a range attack against your target's EAC. Okay, it does do damage, but it does 14d20 damage. Like, it could do up to 280 damage. Like, any creature reduced to 0 hit points with this spell is entirely disintegrated, leaving only a trace of fine dust. See, so even though you only get level 6 spells, you still get some really, really cool stuff. Let's skip down a little faster here. Past all the spells. Reincarnate, I saw in there, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, just because you only get right now, the core rulebook only gives you the 2 spellcasting classes. You still have a pretty good variety of spells and stuff. Alright, so we skimmed in here to the game mastering section. There we go. Adventures and campaigns. So this is going to be your section for building adventures, designing campaigns, designing encounters, Because designing encounters, it looks like in this game is going to be a little different, just because of like at higher levels you get better weapons that do a lot more damage. How do you mitigate your guys just going around with Gatling lasers and just mowing down entire populations of alien scum and villainy and stuff like that? This section is going to teach you how to do that. It's going to talk about your wealth. Then you've got your section like before the game, some things to do. Running the game, understanding skill DCs, rolling, and fudging. And so GM should always keep their rolls kind of secret. So if you ever do need to fudge a roll, you're like, well, I don't really want this character to die right now. Oh, I got a 8 instead of a 10. You know, nobody knows the difference, but you just got to play it off. Just don't be like, well, just be cool. Be cool. And no one knows the difference. I fudge it all the time when I want things to go a certain way. Now, don't just do it to do it, right? But do it for the sake of the story. You know, just if a character tries something and doesn't, quite roll well enough, you're like, well, I guess I can just lower the DC a couple to make him succeed if it fits the story, right? If failing is part of the story, or if it means something significant, let them fail if they fail. So, all right, so here it talks about your radiation effects. This is pretty important. It's nasty. You get the radiation sickness, just like we do here on Earth. So it's actually pretty well explained, like what radiation sickness is and how it affects your character. And it's not good stuff. So stay away from that. Wear your chem suits and your radiation suits. This guy, I feel like he should be burning his hand right there. I don't know. It's a cool weapon, but it'd definitely be one of those things. But like, you have to wear the proper gloves, your oven mitts or whatever, Goes into traps. Obviously, you're going to be finding a lot of traps, like this picture right here. Oops, I set off the alarm. Look at all these turrets that pop out, and now it's just a shooting gallery. And traps are great because, even after if you overcome the trap, like disarm it or get past it, you get XP. You don't have to just destroy the trap, right? You can, get past the trap and you still get that XP award. Talks about different afflictions, so curses and diseases, poisons, sample afflictions. There's a bunch. Wow. I kind of skimmed through this section, but man, there's a lot more than I thought there was. All right. Then it talks about how to read a stat block. So, like for a GM, you're looking in like a monster stat line. I think it gives us an example. Yeah, this tiny little space goblin monarch. I like how it's spelled weird. Like the goblin chief of chiefs. Challenge rating 20. He's worth a ton of experience. Obviously, if you played Pathfinder, this is almost all the same. Details their skills, abilities, things like that, defenses. Then it talks about the setting. Like it talks about the history, like how we went from Pathfinder to Starfinder. It talks about interstellar travel. This is something I would definitely read. Like this is really, really cool. I read through most of this today. So like Golarian. So Golarian is like Earth, the Pathfinder Earth. And in the narrative of Starfinder, apparently it's the whole planet's gone missing. I'll just leave it at that. And then there's like a space station right there where in orbit where it used to be. So they don't really know what happened. And then you're definitely going to want to read like everything that happened leading up to the current time in this. Because it's actually really well written. It's not just so like, oh, you're a Pathfinder in space. No, there's actually some really good story to play with. And it gives you a lot of options as a storyteller, as a GM, to how you can write your story inside this narrative. It goes in like days of the week, months, things it's called versus, what we call it, or versus what's used in the solar system now. So they even have different names for the planets, but right here, this is where Earth, Golarian should be, but Absalom Station is right here instead. So Eox got a big burning hole in it. Look at that. See, he's got the sun. Then this goes into like all the planets. Abalon, See, very futuristic. Look at all these robots and stuff. And then, definitely read through each planet just so you kind of get an idea of what each planet's about. Like its like its culture, its atmosphere. Like this is like very like jungle. Look at this dragon. Looks like something from Monster Hunter right here. Its ecosystem, things like that. Every planet is different. Like Absalom Station, big huge station just floating out there in space. The battlefield, Akaton. This is very like, this looks very Star Wars kind of themed, like Coruscant. Verces. It's kind of cool. Very like Babylonian Gardens kind of thing. Say this big, I don't know. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's kind of like, reminds me of like Halo, like the rings, how they spin and how it has all these different environments inside the ring as it spins, and it spins and creates the gravity. Then there's a big huge what is it? Asteroid field out there that you can set stories in, which is really cool. Eox, the dead planet. It's got a big hole in it. This looks like some kind of like undead world or whatever. This is like very Necron from 40K. I'm assuming you don't want to go there. Good story, maybe you crash land on there and you gotta salvage parts to get, to fix your ship to get off. But then there's like all these like zombies and skeletons in like armor with like plasma weapons like running after you. It'd be kind of cool. Alright, so we're getting down here to the wire. I know this video is kind of long, but this book is really long and there's a lot to it. I really want you guys to see a lot of this stuff. So, I mean, if you guys get excited and want to pick this up, do so, if it's your bag. That's kind of a giraffe, elk. I don't even know, man. Teach their own, right? Like I said, who am I to judge? Like this thing? Wow. Oh, look at that. Eight-legged rhino with tentacle face. Very Cthulhu. Speaking of Cthulhu, I kind of skipped over the deities. Some of the deities from Pathfinder came over, like Iomedae and stuff like that. But then they're also like the Cthulhu pantheon, like Nyarlathotep is one of the deities. Like basically all of the outer gods from the Cthulhu mythos are kind of in there, which is kind of cool. I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan. I love the Cthulhu mythos. Here you're getting into your different, these are your different like factions and organizations that you could potentially join or fight against, Android Abolitionist Front. They all have their own base of operations. Augmentio, little cybernetic rat man. The Free Captains. This dude looks legit. He's ready for battle. The Hell Knights. Okay, this is straight up Dark Eldar. I don't even understand. I mean, I love it. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love this look. Because it's like those four-armed dudes. He's got his gun and his dual blades. Amazing. They're in the Enforcers of Interstellar Order. Ooh. They're the cops. Okay, this is the dude. If any of you play Warhammer 40K, tell me that that is not a chainsword. And this guy is not like a Blood Angel wannabe. It's fantastic. I love the look. Like, I think that's great that you'd be able to play something like that. And you got like the Stewards. She's totally a sniper elf. That's kind of cool. Here we go. The Xeno Wardens. Space Druids with their... That's an Eldar pistol if I've ever seen one. Oh, here we go. Actually, right here. Faith and Liberty. So right here. Faith and Religion. Nyarlathotep. Okay? But then you got like the Devourer. You've got Iomedae. Waden. Horus. Right here. Lao Shupo. But yeah, let's go. Like this is really interesting. Anyone in this H.P. Lovecraft fan is going to enjoy this. Let me find him here. Where is he? Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep. Right there. The upside down Unk. It talks about it in here. The power of the great old ones. Like Cthulhu is one of the great old ones. Where is it? Hold on, I think it's in later on. Hold on. So yeah, then we got the Triune. Now the Triune is a unique one for Starfinder. Basically, there was these 3 technological deities that all that appeared all at the same time, and they're basically worshipped as one deity. The All Code. They're like the deities of like technology and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. I like how they have like the little symbol for each deity, which is kind of cool. Outer gods right here. Nyarlathotep is the most infamous. But then you've got the Demon Sultan. Let's see. Azathoth. Outer god of entropy, madness, and mindless destruction. It's a primal mass of raw power. You ever see it in the H.P. Lovecraft fiction or whatever. It's like there's this big ball of like mouths and tentacles that's flying through space. Azathoth. You got where is it? Shub-Niggurath. I think you've also even got wait a minute, Yog-Sothoth here, right? So the whole Lovecraft pantheon is represented in this, and I think that was really cool. For me personally, some of you might be like, but look at this. Tell me that's not Mass Effect inspired right there. Especially that weapon right there. Looks like one of the rifles from the first game. This is a Cultist of Chaos. This is one of the Cult of the Devourer. This is a Chaos Cultist from 40K. Yes, they do have gray aliens. Like, you alien conspiracists, alien conspiracies out there, the grays, you can be a gray. I think they actually have the rules in the Alien Archive book. You play a gray alien. A Graylien? Is that what you would say? I don't know. Now here's the section on the Pathfinder Legacy. Legacy. So this is the whole section of Legacy conversion. All right. So say you've got your Legacy character from Pathfinder. You guys want to go into Starfinder. They want to take their characters. Bam. Run it through this whole chapter right here. Spit it out on the other end, and you have a pretty good conversion to a Starfinder character, and you can go on new adventures. I think like this is totally a paladin in power armor with a plasma cannon. Spot on. Love it. I can't get enough of that. Talks about, here's all the different RPG classes, like the base classes, and then you've got the relevant ability scores, skill modifiers, But then it goes into like monk unarmed damage. It talks about how it's not going to be able to keep up with weapon damage, and it tells you how to be able to scale the monk's unarmed damage to really reflect or be somewhat on par at higher levels. Then it even gives you stats for all the old races. So dwarves, elves. This just looks amazing. This is like Eldar. Tell me that gun right there did not come from Mass Effect. Right there. Fantastic. Gnomes. Half elves. Half orcs. That's just cool. Power axe. Big chain gun energy weapon. And little halfling with multicolored hair. Then you go into your glossary. There's quite a lot of terms and stuff right here. So newer players, this is going to be a good resource for you. And then inspirational media. So let's see. I looked through this and it really didn't even talk about, where is it? Because I didn't see Lovecraft on the list. It might be in a different section. But yeah, there's like the comic books they took ideas from, like inspiration, right? Video games and video game series, right? Dead Space, Borderlands, Deus Ex, Doom, Destiny, Final Fantasy, Mass Effect, Metroid. So you could totally play like a Samus character if you wanted to. StarCraft, Star Wars: The Old Republic, Star Trek Online, film and television, tabletop RPGs, right? So we got Octoon Cthulhu, right here, Warhammer 40,000, Star Wars: Edge of the Empire, Pathfinder, Iron God's Adventure Path, Numenera, Mutant Chronicles, Gamma World, the Firefly. Now, Firefly role playing game, I think, a lot of the Starship stuff is because the Firefly role playing game has a big section of its book devoted to the ship and the combat and stuff because it's such a big part of that series. And I think a lot of that stuff they took a lot of ideas from, which is great. So film and television, right? Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I called it. Yeah. The Running Man, Total Recall. It's great. And then you got to go into the appendix, or sorry, the index. It's like 5 or 6 pages of index. The book is huge. Then you got your character sheet. I think the character sheet, I mean, obviously I've played like Pathfinder stuff before, but this is very similar. But I think it's really well done. Everything's tight, compact. It's nice headers, different colored, bold, so you can see your different sections, the skills, attack bonuses for your different stuff, your different abilities. It's just like one big section to write in. Feats proficiencies, they give you a large section. Then you have the Starship section. So you got your section for your shields and weapons and all this other stuff. You got your crew members that you can write in the players' names, your damage, critical damage, weapon arrays, and then blam. Pass Starfinder Society. Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap this up here and let's do an overview. Well, all right, gamers. So that was Starfinder, the role-playing game published by Paizo, the same people that make Pathfinder. So after reading through it earlier and then kind of going through it with you, I'm really excited to start playing this game. My game group that I play with now, like I said, I've talked to them about it a little bit, and they're excited as well. They've all got the PDF. They're already talking what they're going to play, what kind of games they would like, talking about starships. And because we like the fantasy, we also like the science fiction, and the fact that this blends both is amazing. So let's kind of go through it. All right, so character creation. We went through the character creation. It's pretty similar to a lot of other D20 games like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, and I love those. But I like this even more because it's got, okay, you get your race, you get a theme, which helps define your class. So it gives you more of an in-depth character development, and that's definitely a thumbs up for me. Blam, thumbs up. Then obviously we're talking about the class like selection that you can play as. There's only the 7 classes, but with all of the in-depth customization you have, that's a thumbs up as well. Like most games that I played like when I was younger was very just static. Like every fighter was a fighter, every wizard was a wizard, every soldier was a soldier. This is just, the games nowadays are just going way over the bar with that. I find that fantastic. Obviously, the art and the aesthetics of the book is a big thumbs up for me because I love like aesthetically pleasing books. Like if I was to go to the store and I'm looking and I saw that book and I would just be like, wow, okay, legit. It's beautiful, it's colorful, it's well put together. I'd buy it. Organization-wise of the book, I think is really good because like most other D&D and Pathfinder books, kind of how they use the same organization, so you got your character creation and your classes, your races, your skills, your feats. It's all really well put together and it's really in depth. So there's not a whole lot of questions. So any question you would have, you can find the answer for in the book. Gonna give that a thumbs up. The character sheet, definitely gotta look at the character sheet. Other games I've played, so we went back to that Numenera. Numenera is a great game. Love the book. The character sheet was just way too much going on. Way too much. Too much extra space that's taken up by art. There's a lot to put on the sheet. And it's all compact. It's put together right there for you. It's easy to see, fill in step by step. Thumbs up. So in the end, This game, from me, gets a huge thumbs up. I hope you like this book. I hope you are excited to play this game with your group, or at least pick it up, look through it, get some ideas going. You know, talk to your friends, go down to the local game store and find a group that's playing, or maybe build a new group and start playing. Well, gamers, so with that, I am Brian, your Game Master, and until I see you again in the dungeon, happy gaming.